All right, welcome to week 15. Yet again, Caitlin and I were just chatting about how we can't believe we're already here, and it's been quite a journey for all of us. And I'm going to get into a little bit of the personal stuff for me that I haven't even really, some of it I haven't even shared here, which seems crazy because I feel like I've shared a lot. But let's just jump right in. And so this week, I wanted to kind of take some time to recap kind of what it means to really embody the world and this stage 3 level of existence. And we'll go back by kind of recapping what the 3 levels are. So that first stage, that stage of being a caterpillar, is really truly transactional. And it's a place of kind of like everything's black and white, cut and dry. It's it's me or you, not both of us. It's an emotional roller coaster. There's a lot of ego identification. We worry about so much about how things look like from the outside looking in, not just in our physical, but also in our image. We're very concerned about controlling our environment, each other, ourselves. There's a lot of blame, a lot of victimization, a lot of this like repression that happens when you are a caterpillar. And really, this is where our comfort zone is and where most members of our culture live, right? And when it's just an easy example, when we turn on the news, everything is so quick to hit us in our emotions and in this sense of, like, can you believe this outrage or this, there's a lot of the jealousy. And I think about like a tabloid magazine and what that brings out in us. And that's that constant drama, that constant intensity. But we're lacking consciousness and we're lacking a connection to a deeper meaning. And also at this level, there is really no sense of personal responsibility. We feel so small, we feel so dull, we feel so heavy that we feel like it's because of our experience, because of other people that we feel this way, because of decisions we made many years ago. It's just a lot of this kind of heaviness. And some people spend their entire lives as caterpillars. Some people spend their entire lives identifying with these things that really are only on the surface. But many of us choose to kind of go to this stage 2 existence, and this is the cocoon. And at this stage, things get a little bit more conscious, right? We start to recognize that being a caterpillar is not all there is. And we start to take a little bit more responsibility for our own experience. And we see the bigger picture. We pull back the lens. There's less blame and victimization. We tend to be more communal, more compassionate, kinder. This is kind of the stage where we get a little detached from life and we try to just be like, no, everything's good. It's all wonderful. We try to just be as loving as we possibly can. But in that like attempt to just identify with the light, we are actually still denying so much of who we are. So this detachment from life is healthier than being stage 1 victim ego. And that detachment is an important thing to add, but it is still lacking. It's lacking that deep sense of feeling, the intensity that makes you feel alive. And it lacks the polarity of the divine masculine, divine feminine that was such a, yes, it's an emotional roller coaster to be a caterpillar, but at least you're alive, right? In your cocoon, you have that sense of disconnection from the crazy intensity roller coaster, but you're not living your life either. And that's where we have to go. So again, now we're almost in this kind of boring stage of life where things feel kind of like, so what, and you don't have that co-creation that comes from being fully emotionally invested, because you're just seeing that, well, maybe if I just do the right things, life will be fine. And there's still this attempt to control, and there's still this attempt to kind of like find something to cling to, right? You're in a cocoon, you're still clinging really hard to something, and you're just hoping that by, putting this wall up around you, you're creating something safe, because you still feel scared in this level. You don't know what is going to happen, what's beyond that cocoon, that chrysalis. And again, we have to go through this to get to the other side. So if we continue to identify as a caterpillar and stick with that emotional roller coaster without pulling back and doing what we've done here, or even from moment to moment, it doesn't have to be a forced removal from society. We can have these moments in our psyche where we go, whoa, 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 I don't have to identify there. And that cocoon is powerful, and it's where we kind of gather our strength back around our center, and that's what gives us the strength to become a butterfly. So that's stage 3. And now that we've emerged from our cocoon, again, we've talked about this, suddenly you are so raw and vulnerable. And I know what it's like to feel so exposed as a butterfly. And part of that, I believe, is because we're no longer living with the detachment. We're back invested, planted in life, co-creating with life, which means we know things can get thrown in our faces. We no longer have that sense of blame and victimization, but it also means that we know full well that by interacting with life and co-creating with life, and by pushing ourselves, and by not giving up and showing up, we are inevitably going to get hurt. We're going to go through suffering. And yet, we, at this stage, we start to really embody this idea of ho'oponopono, this radical responsibility for our lives. We recognize that, we have a divine peace and a divine purpose and a divine place of this world that we are meant to embody, and that we're choosing now. We're no longer saying, I don't want to deal with it, I'm going to just stay detached, or I don't want to deal with it, I'm just going to stay a victim. Now we're coming into, okay, this is life, right? This is the inevitability of the roller coaster that is life. My decision is whether or not I'm on the outside of that roller coaster riding every peak and valley, or if I'm staying in my center, in my heart, in my love, and as the emotional roller coaster happens around me, I can still be that butterfly of love and light. And that is the hope that, we can all become. But we can't just be love and light. We have to also be darkness. We have to also be the depth of our being, and touch down into that and dredge up the shit that is at the bottom, because if we ignore that, we're stuck. And I love one of the things that, well, we'll talk about this, I think, in a minute, but let's just see what else we have. So, it would not be better if things happened to men just as they wish. Unless you expect the unexpected, you will never find the truth, for it is hard to discover and hard to attain. Nature loves to hide. The Lord, whose oracle is at Delphi, neither speaks nor conceals, but gives signs. And that is by I should be able to say that. I practiced it. But Heraclitus, I think. Heraclitus. So I love this quote, because things would not be better. It would not be better if things happened to men just as they wish. Let's think about that for a second. If we got exactly what we wanted when we wanted it, what would that look like? I know for me, I probably wouldn't believe it, right? There also would be no journey. We would have already arrived. It would be over. It would be a moment. Life would be that moment of bliss and nothingness. And that is what's waiting for us. I do believe that. But there's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why we are embodied in these meat bags with these spirits that know that they're part of something so much bigger, yet they're stuck on something so much lower. So that is, the other piece that I love about this quote is that the Lord whose oracle is at Delphi neither speaks nor conceals, but gives signs. So what does that mean? I believe that God speaks to us in these kinds of signs. We're not going to suddenly get that piece, that thought, right? Because thoughts are like wind. Thoughts are always moving. They're always changing. They're sharp sometimes. They're stormy others. They're open and airy at other times, but they're constantly changing. And the language of thought is a beautiful thing, but if we get too caught up in, oh, if I could just look at this differently, if I could just see the right words to describe my experience, if I could just read the right book or hear the right thing, I'll be done worrying about this. We know that that's not true. So God speaks to us in signs. And I don't know about you guys, but I know that there's been so many times in my life where I have felt so completely desperate or anxious or overwhelmed. And actually today is one of those days for me in a lot of ways. Inevitably, something beautiful arises in our awareness. And the example for me is I purposely took a nice walk into the cemetery behind the funeral home this evening and discovered this beautiful space that I'd never seen before, and just kind of sat on the bench and took it all in and did some movement, did some dance, kind of shook off this most recent, phase of intensity that I've been dealing with. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful space that, and some examples, a passing butterfly, a breathtaking sky, a powerful song, a child's laughter. These things pop into our awareness, into our psyche. And I really believe that that is God showing us that we can continue to see what's lacking in our lives, or we can take that sign and see it, and in that moment, reconnect and come back to ourselves, to our centers, to our hearts, to our love. And we talked last week about the truth that unity lies in movement. It's actually it's almost in time, right? True unity happens on the journey. It doesn't happen in a moment, because a moment is only a fraction. It happens in the journey. It happens in the unfolding of time and in the movement. And this is the yoga of spirituality. As we create space each day for moments of divine inspiration, they will inevitably come, or not come when we want them, but that's the dance. That's the hope, is that by taking time in your day to give space to whatever it is that you're experiencing in that moment, and what that space looks like is going to differ. And we've talked about different ways to kind of interact with that space, whether it's through art or music or dance or poetry or, writing, or there's just so many different ways that we can kind of peel back the veil in that moment. And that is really what the yoga of spirituality is about. And being okay with things exactly as they are opens a space for divinity to come through, and accepting that the journey and the truth that nothing is constant lets us rejoice amidst all of the uncertainty and insanity. So that's really the balance. And it's something we've talked about again and again and again, but we can't describe the truth, really. We could sit here until we're blue in the face and try to describe the face of God, or every aspect of the multifaceted diamond that is ourselves, but we could never truly describe existence. So we've been working on all of these things to really just strip away anything that's unnecessary and any identification within ourselves that says that somehow I can make sense of this life, because guess what? It doesn't make fucking sense, and it never will. There will always be something that we aren't happy with when it comes to ourselves, to our experience. There'll always be something difficult nagging at us. But when we come full circle and emerge as a butterfly, we start to see obstacles as inevitable and as teachers. And we embrace them more. Instead of going, oh, no, we instead say, oh, that was unexpected. Kind of not too sure how I feel about that yet, but in time, it will make itself clear. So this is when we don't hold back our emotional reaction, but we also don't let it take our power. We just let it flow. And honestly, we waste so much of our energy trying to figure it all out. But the point of it is the dance. It is the journey. Existence has no language, and if you depend on language, there can be no communication with existence. Existence is a mystery. We cannot interpret it. If you interpret, you miss. Existence can be lived, but not thought about. It is more like poetry, less like philosophy. It is a sign. It is a door. It shows, but says nothing. Through mind, there is no approach to existence. If you think about it, you can go on thinking and thinking about and about, but you will never reach it, because it is precisely thinking that is the barrier. Thinking is a private world. It belongs to you. Then you are enclosed, encapsulated, imprisoned within yourself. Non-thinking, you are no more. You are enclosed no more. You open. You become porous. Existence flows into you, and you flow into existence. And of course, that's Osho. Existence has no language. When I read that, I think that part where thinking is a private world, it belongs to you, then you are enclosed, encapsulated, imprisoned within yourself. That is the cocoon. And it's a beautiful place to be, but it's a prison. And now that we've emerged, we can't go back. That is the rub, right? That's what's so difficult about this journey. Once you've grown your wings, you can't go back. And you start to see things so quickly that that need to change in your experience. And the longer you hold on to what's comfortable, the harder it's going to be to fly. It isn't what we're thinking that can save us, it's how we feel. It's how our heart pulses, open, willing, vulnerable despite all the scars. It's how our breath moves through our bodies, unencumbered, transformative, and life-affirming. It's how we shine, how we can choose in any instant to radiate love. Our vibration is our experience. It's never the other way around. Our experience can color our vibration, but it doesn't work from the outside in, it works from the inside out. And it's one thing to think about something, it's something so different to feel it. And in that moment, can we find the feeling of peace as opposed to thinking about what we can do to create peace? Or what can we say? Or what can we, how can we do something that will give us more peace? Well, what if the peace is just right here? It's just right here. Take a breath with me on that. The peace is here. And we're all fools. We're all children pretending to be as adults. some of us get caught up in the second stage where we try to be these politically correct, perfect adults and fall in line with the sheep. We try to be as peaceful and positive and perfect, but ultimately we are still only embodying a fraction of our experience. I love that, everyone always says everything in moderation, but my emphasis is on everything. So we are the thunderstorms, we are the sunshine, we are the peace, we are the war, we are the stink, we are the joy, we are the beauty, we are the ugly, we are all of these things are part of who we are. And as long as we've got walls up around it, we can't embody our truth. To deny the vastness of our beings means we are denying the vastness of God. We desperately want things to make sense, but the lessons from our cocoon repeatedly show us that things never truly make sense. Instead, they dance and flutter and constantly change. The only thing that remains constant through all of it is you. And therefore, you are your own guru, your own savior, your own hero, your own muse. And by taking radical responsibility in our lives and no longer giving our power away to anyone else, then we choose to show up as a butterfly whenever and wherever possible, knowing that it's impossible. We can never embody perfection, but embrace every step and obstacle, everything on the journey with love, then we're free. And there is always something. So just to give you like an idea of what I've been through during this cocoon, right? And I've shared a lot of this, as I said, with you guys, but in the past 4 months, I've had a serious health scare, which is very recent. I got seriously betrayed by someone I trusted, and that was also very recent. This happened in the last week. I've paid over $1,000 because of a fender bender. I moved out of what I thought was my dream home into a funeral home in my hometown. I almost got embroiled in a probably would have been $1 million lawsuit with a very powerful person. I had my heart broken into pieces. I had a horrible, terrifying fall and wound up in the ER. I faced the harrowing financial reality of divorce, and I buried my grandfather, my last living grandparent. And I just was kind of going through and thinking of all the things that have caused me drama over the past 4 months, right? And these are definitely a lot of them, and it doesn't even go into some of the drama that happened on vacation with my family, with fights with my mother, things that just showed up again and again and again and have always shown up, really. But also, in the past 4 months, I've received the wonderful news that I didn't have this illness I was worried about, which I just found out today, so yay. I learned a lesson in trust and integrity, and I was reminded to follow my intuition, thanks to that betrayal from someone I trusted. I met a wonderful person who is on his spiritual journey and was very deserving of that $1,000, and it was nothing but kind and appreciative. And also I had that $1,000, which is something that I couldn't have said a few months prior. So I'm very grateful for that. I found some financial freedom as well as freedom just in my home. I got a safe, fresh start here. I also learned the power of speaking up to those in power, and that I can trust myself to do the right thing and to say the hard thing, thanks to that almost lawsuit. I proved to myself that I can handle heartbreak and that I still am willing to keep going and keep loving and keep trying. When I fell in that boat, it was a beautiful wake-up call. When I thought about the money thing, I really felt that money will always be flowing to me and that I don't have to push for it. It just shows up, and that's going to be okay. And that I was able to celebrate my grandfather, which brought in so many beautiful memories of my life that I'm so grateful for. So it just shows that, like, we can find love in the chaos. And an example for me was the other day when I was leaving the doctor's office, having taken a test to see if I had this, illness. I was freaking out about the possible outcomes, and I was like totally wallowing in self-pity. And then I'm driving along, and all of a sudden it just hit me. This is hilarious. I literally started busting out laughing. And I realized that I have felt this way, this fearful, anxious, what if, what if, what if. I felt this way thousands of times before, and I'll feel it that way 1,000 more times before I die. And so then, is any of it really real, Or is it more just a distraction, just a way to color our existence, our journey, just something to add some drama into our lives? And honestly, I had that moment, and then I realized it's all going to be okay. And it was okay. And I don't know if the way I was thinking about it is why the test was negative or whatever, but it blows me away. There'll always be drama, pain, and suffering, but I can choose to dance with it, or I can fight against it. So I laughed, and I try to dance. So the homework this week is find excuses to give yourself the care you deserve and require. Love on your body, on how far you've come, on the things about yourself that you've always criticized, and find the light in them, the beauty and the love. Step away from the mundane, away from the denial, and into the full expression of being all aspects of our wild selves. I love this poem, and I wish I had the author, but I'm going to share it with you. I am a thunderstorm, waiting for lightning to invigorate me, cause that dullness in the dry pit of my stomach to forget itself, and remember my soaking wet dancing feet and the sticky tresses of dripping hair that fling and cling to the smiling face of a child, wild with power in the wet streets. Laughing arms flung wide to the sky as someone older and fearful shouts worried cautions from a dark doorway, shrinking back at the crack and illumination of freedom that make me infinite like a drop of rain that sings, I am a thunderstorm. We are all thunderstorms. We are all children. And the more we can let that flow, let it dance, the more life rewards us with these moments of laughing arms flung wide to the sky. This is the second to last week of our Cocoon, and this journey has meant the absolute world to me. And it sustained me through things that if I didn't have you guys, I know I'd feel even more lost than I already do. But it's in that feeling of loss, of not knowing where I'm headed or what's coming, that I'm forced to ask myself, what's important to me and what matters. And I think if it weren't for this experience, it would be a lot harder to face reality, because I'd forget some of these lessons. I forget how much brighter and bigger I am than the stained glass window I'm shining through. I love you guys, and I hope that when you watch this, whenever that is, if you're not here live with me as Caitlin is. Thank you. When you watch this, I hope you feel the sincerity, and I hope you feel something. I hope something is stirred in you, because it isn't easy to be a butterfly. It looks it, and there's certainly more joy than pain there. But you don't get there by just waking up one day and it's easy. Okay? That's why I shared all of the crazy shit that's happened to me in the past 4 months, because it isn't easy. And there's always something. But we can still have laughing arms flung wide to the sky and dance with this life that we're in, because we're here. And I'm here with you. And if you don't have your final call scheduled, let's do that, because I really, truly believe that each one of you is at a breaking point. I think we all are ready for something, not a breaking point, but a breakthrough point. And the only way to get to the other side is to live it into existence and to do the things that don't come easy. So if you need support there, which we all do, that is why I'm here. That is why you are here. So speak up about your truth. I've already seen, Caitlin, you've had some incredible transformational things come through. Deanna, you have as well. I know you'll watch this. Marlena, I've seen your strength grow every day. And life will always hand us things that knock us off our feet. And it's in those moments that we realize our strength. So speak up, share your story. That's what healing's about. And part of my healing tonight is to get some rest and to allow some of this to marinate with me. One thing I keep coming back to in my experience has been lowering my vibration. I do this a lot with a lot of things, because to really feel the feeling and vibrate high is terrifying, or vibrate low. To really feel any intensity of emotion is terrifying. But that's what being a butterfly is about. You're exposed and open, and existence flows through you and out of you. We are thunderstorms, ladies. And I'm here. I love you. I'm going to bed.